Alright, look. We all know that Street Fighter is a really difficult game. It's almost impossible not to make mistakes while you play it. And that's not even talking about the pressure of rank or the guy you're playing against or any of that. So in this video, I want to talk about the 5 most common mistakes people make and how we can fix them. In other words, you're gonna learn how to cook, but not from me. You're gonna be learning from Chef Mango. And for those of you wondering, yes, I am wearing pants. So let's get into problem number 1, and I know 90% of players have done this and will keep doing this. Only relying on like 2 or 3 moves to win your games is not a very good tactic. Because here's what happens. You're playing hot, you're playing good, and then something clicks in your opponent's mind, and then you start losing. Let's think about why. Well, it could be that your opponent is a strategic genius and he has picked apart your entire game plan so thoroughly that there's nothing left for you to do except lose. Or, hear me out, it could be that you're only using your low forward or stand fierce to win the entire game. And don't get me wrong, this isn't an awful thing to do, those are great moves, but the picosecond that your opponent figures it out... I figured him out, smiley face.
Round 2.
Observe.
Fight.
You're cooked. So, how do we remedy this? Thank you so much for asking. The number 1 fix for this problem is to learn how to use your other moves correctly. And no, not just use them, but use them correctly. The difference is throwing shit against the wall and hoping it'll stick, versus using your moves at the correct times when you know they'll work. And just a bonus tip, the reason that not using your entire kit is so bad is because it leads into point number 2. Speaking of point number 2, is building bad habits. And no, I'm not talking about labbing your combos to the point where they become second nature. That's a good thing. That's a good habit. No, I'm talking about something like using Jinrai or Jamie's Rekka off of every block string imaginable. He can only do 2 things. He doesn't have any other game plan. He drive rush jabs or drive rush heavy punches and then hopes that it hits. Because yes, it's good, it's safe, it puts you at like crouch MK distance. But if your opponent figures out that you're buffering every time and you're not actually using this mindfully, it's gonna look a little something like this. Now, you might be wondering, but Mango, how do I avoid building bad habits? Amazing question. Number 1, it is to learn that every player is different and they require a different approach to beat them. And this comes with time. Obviously, you're still going to be doing these mistakes from time to time, but it's okay. The second way to deal with it is much harder, but also much better. And it also happens to be our 3rd mistake. Mistake number 3 is playing on autopilot. This is, in my opinion, the 2nd worst thing you can do in any fighting game. In any game, really. Because whether you're practicing or you're playing ranked or you're playing in a bracket, if you're playing on autopilot, you will lose. And no, I'm not talking about the match itself. Sure, autopiloting can win you games, but you're not really gaining anything from it except those silly internet points. And the reason you're not learning anything is because you're not consciously playing the game. The little hamster that's inside your brain is telling you what buttons to press at which times, but you, your conscious self, isn't really there. And again, the hamster might tell you to press the right buttons at the right times, but the hamster isn't gonna teach you how to play the game better. Now, you might be asking yourself, but Mango, how do I like and subscribe? The only surefire way to get better at this game consistently and reliably is to practice. Practice mode is the 4th thing that people really neglect when playing this game. Yes, I know nobody wants to sit in practice range and do your combos and do your little setups and do your little scenarios, but I swear to God, come here. If you don't eat your fruits and veggies, you're gonna lose your fucking games. And also, Capcom took actual time out of their lives to give us probably the best practice mode in like any fighting game. Not including Skullgirls. That shit was fire. Every single time I play somebody in an online bracket, I always look at their profile to see how much time they've spent in the practice mode. If I see some shit like this, I know that they probably haven't labbed that much. And the other, even worse side of it is that I know for a fact you're not improving. Practice mode is the only place where you can sit down, be stress-free, and genuinely learn new skills. If you weren't able to do 10 push-ups yesterday, you're not going to be able to do 40 tomorrow. It takes time. So the takeaway here is go use practice mode. Now, you're probably asking yourself, but Mango, how do I use practice mode? And this is a very valid question. And I'm not gonna lie, I was really deterred by this for like the first, 2 months of the game being out because it's kind of confusing. There are so many good tools on YouTube for how to use Street Fighter 6's practice mode, and it's really insane. So, go into practice mode, figure out what you struggle with, and go practice. Now, on to the last tip. If you are as lazy as me, you're really gonna want to listen up. This is, by far and away, the easiest thing I have done to rank up, to get better, and to keep my mental in check when I'm playing. Stop instantly requeuing. This has lost me, I cannot tell you how many sets. Whether it's because of frustration or because you're playing hot and you want to keep that streak going, this is never good. And I will stand by this till the day I die. Instantly requeuing is the worst thing you can do. And here's why. Even if you're on a 5 or 10 game win streak and you lose one, you don't really care about that because you're on a 5-10 game win streak. You're hot, you want to keep going, you're feeling confident about yourself. But then that 10-to-1 ratio turns into a 10-to-5, and then a 10-to-10, and then a 10-to... you get it. Now you're probably asking yourself once again, but Mango, how do I stop instantly pressing rematch? Amazing question. Once again, the thing that helps me personally is water. And no, I don't mean waterboarding myself every time I lose a game, I mean just taking a sip in between games. I swear to God, this is like the holy claymore of victory right here. Every single time I win a match or I lose a match, I take a second and I just... because after you take a sip of that ice-cold water, your brain refreshes and you can start playing the game like a normal person. Wow, thank you so much, Chef Mango, for explaining all of these things to us. Very insightful. I still haven't really figured out how to do outros. I just kind of talk to you guys until it's over. This isn't it, by the way, let me know if you catch yourself doing any of these down in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. Oh, also, I'm thinking of doing a video on Ghost of Tsushima because it came out on PC, and holy fuck, that game looks so good. I already have a bunch of content recorded on it, but I'm not really sure what direction to take it in. So if you guys have any ideas, please let me know. I'd love to make something that you'll actually watch. This is the outro now. You can click off.